Okay, guys, we are very, very excited to share with you the prophet Job. We're going to do this in a series of videos, and we're going to show you the amazing prophet Job as he goes through the tribulation and comes to the second coming of Christ. Yes. Unfortunately, in the modern church, the modern Western church has portrayed Job incorrectly, in my personal opinion. He's some type of loser. He didn't have faith. His bad behavior or his mistakes have caused the judgment of God. All kinds of things, which even you can see the three friends of Job also said to him. But instead of getting into Job's trials and what he went through and the arguments between the three friends, we're going to show you amazing things in this series, and it's definitely showing us Job is a prophet. He's going to see Elijah. Job is going to see, as we showed in previous videos, the beasts. Okay, Leviathan and Behemoth, and we know that those are the fallen angels. Job is going to see the seventh bowl. And Job, and we conclude the series, Job is going to enter the millennium. That's the last chapter of Job. So you're going to see a clear pattern, very, very exciting. And we'll show you, if you want to get more of our studies that we're doing that are not going into videos, we are sending out weekly notes from studies like Job. We have been in Job for several months. Some of which we publish in videos, some of it are not, and we'll show you that later on in the video, where to subscribe and get onto the school, and then you'll get the emails. You can also join us on Zoom calls when we assemble. Prophet Job. Okay. So the whole purpose of this study is not to just give a description on the book of Job. It is only to look at the book of Job in light of the apocalypse. That's our whole goal here. It's all about the second coming of Christ. And as we said, we really feel like the modern church has portrayed Job kind of like the friends did, which is exactly what you're not supposed to do, because they were rebuked in the end. Now, Job is a prophet. You hear me keep saying prophet, and that's where I think that Job is not, his book is not listed in the prophets, so we don't really consider him in the esteem of the prophets. But the early church did. Okay, so Apostle James, he says, "Take, my brethren, the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Lord as an example of suffering and affliction and patience." Okay, who? The prophets. "Behold, we count them blessed which endure. You have heard the patience of Job." Who's Job? He's one of the prophets he just mentioned. Take the prophets, Job. So James says Job's a prophet. And again, in the early church, they would have esteemed Job as such, but in time, I don't know what happened, but people end up, just kind of condemning Job. Which is ridiculous, really. Okay, so our whole goal here is the second coming of Christ. And that is what's happening to Job. It says, James, "Be patient, brethren, unto the parousia." The parousia is the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ, his second coming, when the Son of Man appears as in the clouds. "You've heard the patience of Job," hypermoni in the Greek. "And you have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy." So the word hypermoni here, it's the same patience of the saints used in Revelation 13 and 14. And Christ is also implying the patience of the saints in Matthew 24. "He that shall endure," hypomeno, "unto the end, the same shall be saved." So we believe that Christ is implying the saints, and the main saint that had to endure tribulation and be saved, as an example, is Job. So we believe Christ is implying Job there for sure. So what happens, guys, is Job goes through his own tribulation. He goes through the tribulation. And he goes through plagues, he goes through things, and he doesn't understand why. But Yahweh appears to him at the end. Okay, so there's the discourse between the two friends, and then a fourth comes on the scene, and after the fourth finishes, Yahweh appears to Job in a cloud. Yahweh spoke to him out of a whirlwind. Nephos in the Greek. So Job sees the second coming Christ. He comes in the clouds, and later we believe that Job sees him face to face, and that's, Christ is physically appearing to him, like we have in this photo. So this is the early Byzantine painting of Job, and Christ is appearing to him, and he sees him. And that's what we believe. That's what we believe is happening. So Job is a remarkable example for us, not only of patience and that aspect, but he sees, he goes through the tribulation and he enters the millennium. Fascinating. Job also experiences the resurrection prophetically, and he's looking for the resurrection. Job is looking for the resurrection. Job 19:25, I know my Redeemer lives. He shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. He shall stand on the latter. That's Christ coming. His feet will stand on the Mount of Olives. Job 14:14, if a man die, he shall live, and all my day appointed time will I wait until my change come. So Job experiences, or he is looking forward to the resurrection. Now we'll see many other themes in this series. We'll just kind of plant a seed now, but there are examples in Job where Job sees the seven thunders. He sees the order of the cherubim, lion, ox, man, eagle. He sees Christ on his white horse. We talked about in our previous videos on Behemoth and Abaddon or Apollyon and Leviathan. Those beasts that Job sees are the beasts of Revelation. Okay, so we have previous videos on those. Hopefully you guys seen them. And Job goes through many of the plagues. We can see at least 4. He goes through the plagues just like the plagues come on the earth in the book of Revelation. Armageddon. The Sabians fell on them and they took them away, and when they had slain their servants with the edge of the sword. So they're taking away his livestock. Then the Chaldeans made out 3 bands that fell upon the camels and carried them away and slayed the servants with the edge of the sword. Okay, so that's Job is going through Armageddon. Armageddon is coming on Job. There are, these same places, okay, that are described, the Sabians and the Chaldeans, they're described in, Ezekiel 38 as those that come against Jerusalem. Well, they're coming against Job. Hail. And there came fire of God is fallen from heaven and has burnt up the sheep and the servants. The destroyer of the firstborn. In the plagues of Egypt, we get the plague of the firstborn. And there was a great wind, or ruach, spirit, and it came upon them from out of the wilderness to touch the 4 corners of the house, and the house fell upon your children. So his children died, and his firstborn son was having a feast. Okay, so Job experiences the plague of the firstborn, loses all 10 children. He experiences the boils of Revelation. And Satan came forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his feet unto his crown. All right. So, Job is a priest, guys. Job is very interesting. We're going to talk about the time frame of when we believe Job is. It doesn't say exactly in the ancient chronology of time between Adam and Abraham where Job falls there. But, based on his life, how long he lived, we get, a rough idea. But Job is a priest. Okay, Job is offering sacrifice in a manner like Noah did. So when Noah came on the ark, he's doing offerings. And Job sent and sanctified his children and rose up early in the morning, offered burnt offerings according to the number of them. So this is in chapter 1. And then later in chapter 42, his friends are told, take up 7 bullocks and 7 rams and go to my servant Job, and he will offer a burnt offering. And my servant Job will pray for you, and him will I accept. So Yahweh will accept his offerings. So this is obviously not the time of Moses, because it was not acceptable for you to make an altar at your own house and to do sacrifices. You had to do them with the priest. So Job is operating as a priest in a time period prior to Moses, very, very clearly. Time period, he's going to be after Noah. Okay. And so it's a very interesting time. Most people say the book of Job is the oldest book in the Bible. Yes, it is. All right. So this is going to place Job in a interesting place, predating, in our opinion, we could be wrong, but in our opinion, Job is actually predating Abraham, because Abraham and Israel and Jacob, none of them are mentioned in the book of Job. Job doesn't go to Egypt. And Job sees 4 generations. He sees 4 generations of his son's sons, and none of them go into Egypt with the Exodus. Okay, so he sees them where he is. Then, after his plagues, Job lives 140 years. Now, traditionally, there's a term called the time of the patriarchs. And the time of the patriarchs is basically the time from Noah to Abraham. And if we look at there, you can see that Noah lived 950 years. So he lived on one side of the flood, and then he lived on the other side of the flood. And then what happens is the life expectancy goes down, down, down. So we go down from 950 to 600 to 438 to 433 to 464 to 239 to 200. Now, what happens is Job has his first set of children. He has 10 children. And we don't know how old he is when the tribulation and his plagues happen. But after those plagues, they complete, Job lives 140 years. So at a conservative level, we believe Job is at least, at a minimum, 210 years old. That's what a tradition holds. We're not certain of that. But what we're saying is Job's life expectancy is placing him in a time when they live like 200 years old. And that's a little bit older than Abraham. And so the time of Nahor and Terah, okay, Abram's, grandfather and father, that's where we believe Job is. Okay, we don't have the time to go into all of that. It's just our view overall. Okay, so in that graph, we see Job died being old, full of days. He died being old, full of days, and he lived 140 years after his second set of children. Okay, so however long it took for him to have 10 children, okay. And then one of the discourses in the book of Job is a young man called Eliyahu, and we're going to discuss him. Eliyahu is Elijah. And he calls Job old or aged. Eliyahu says, I am young in years and you are aged. So that is during Job's plagues. So Job is already old in his plagues. So that's what we're saying. At minimum, Job is at minimum 210 years old. We believe he's older. We also find that the Almighty is an expression, El Shaddai, being used by the name of God, common by the patriarchs. This is going to be common with Abraham. It's common with as well, obviously, the book of Job, because it uses El Shaddai more than any other book. And remember, when Yahweh appeared to Moses, he says, you have heard up until this time my name is El Shaddai. Okay, and now you will know me as Ahiah, Asha, Ahir. So he appears to Moses with like a different name. Well, prior to that, the name was El Shaddai. Okay, Job is the greatest of the kings of the East. Very interesting. So, Job is considered of the greatest of the kings of the East, it says. And so, we're not suggesting that Job is on the eastern side of the Euphrates. But, with Job's friends, the Septuagint calls them kings. Eliphaz, a king. Baldad, a sovereign. Zophar, a king. And then it says, Job, the man of Uz, this man was the greatest of all the people of the East. Very, very interesting. So that's, prophetically what that means is that's the elders. We have videos on that. That as well, the kings of the East could have more than one meaning, and what it is, it's the elders. So the kings of the East is the ones that brought the gold, frankincense, and myrrh. That was the Magi that came to the Messiah. Now, when the Chaldeans attacked Job, all right, they're coming from an area, we know where it is. It's in Mesopotamia. So where is Uz? Job is a man from the land of Uz. And so we also have Sabians, and they're in northern Arabia, okay? And that could be close to the land of Edom. Other sources point to the land of Uz as lying somewhere in northeast Palestine, and tradition supports a site that Josephus says Uz founded by Trachonitis and Damascus. Now, Trachonitis is south and east of Damascus. Now, what I'm getting at here, and then also I'll say the Arabian tradition places the scene of Job's sufferings in Haran, and there's a monastery of Job, and there's links to all this, but basically the places that Israel invaded into Syria is the exact place where Job, in some traditions, is from. And we're equating this to, the war that's happening, and we believe it's related to Job, guys. We believe it's related to Job. It's related to the tribes inheriting, and we're going to get to that as our series goes on. Okay, but this will place Job. Okay, so for example, if we look at this place here, Job's monastery. Well, I'm not going to pull up on the map. I don't want to take up too much time. All right, so Uz is, O daughter of Edom, that dwells in the land of Uz. Uz, all the kings of the Philistines. Okay. So, again, it's our view that area is just to the east of the Golan Heights, just going to the east, and it's south of Damascus. That's where Haran is. And that could be where Uz, the ancient Uz, is. Okay. Before the throne. Now, Job requests to go before the throne. He says, "All that I knew, where I might find him, that I might even come to his seat, to Kuna. I would order my cause before him." Job wants to come before the throne. And we can see this request is granted in what Job sees before the events of the tribulation. Okay, when the sons of Elohim appeared before Yahweh. So Job asked to go before the throne, and then later in the book of Job, he finds out about those that appear before the throne. Okay, on another day, okay, now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan came among them. Okay, so Job finds out later in the book, he requests to come before the throne, and then he's given that request and understands what happened to him from the throne. The things that happened to him came from the throne directly, and he began to understand what took place. Okay, the three scrolls. Next, we'd like to discuss the mystery in Ezekiel 14, where Job is mentioned. Job is a real person. Noah, Daniel, Job. Though these men were in the place where Yahweh was going to bring destruction, they will, but by their own souls, be delivered through their righteousness. Meaning that they will not be able to save anyone else through prayers or things like that. They are through their righteousness. They are only going to be preserved in the end of times when Yahweh's judgments fall. And so when we look at these three men, we can see significant things related to them that Christ talks about. So Christ's talking about these three men in his second coming. Daniel. When therefore you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken by the prophet Daniel. Christ talks about Noah. But in the days of Noah you shall see the coming of the Son of Man. For as the days were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying, giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered to the ark. And they knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So that also the coming parousia of the Son of Man will be. And we believe Job is implied by Christ as well in Matthew 24. But he that shall endure the end, the same shall be saved. That's what happened to Job. He had to endure everything. He had to endure the arguments with his friends. Okay, now 2 Peter 2 also mentions Noah. All right. And of Noah it said, and he spared not the whole world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing the flood upon the world of the ungodly. In addition, we know of Noah in Genesis 6 to 9, and we also know about Noah in a fragment from the book of Enoch. Okay? Where it says, Then says the Most High, the Holy and Great One, he spake to Uriel, the son of Lamech, and he said to him, Go to Noah, tell him, in my name, hide yourself, and reveal to him the end of which is approaching, and the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth. And the book of Enoch, chapter 60, the title, okay, is talking about the quaking of the heaven, Behemoth and Leviathan and the elements. Okay, so what we're getting at is Job is being considered with three scrolls, Noah, Daniel, Job. Job is equal to that in significance as Noah and Daniel. That's amazing. That's what we're learning from Ezekiel 14. That's what Ezekiel's telling us. We're calling three scrolls, three books. The book of Noah, we explained to you, it's in Genesis. It's in the book of Enoch. We have the book of Daniel. And we have the prophet Job. My goodness, I never heard anyone talk about the prophet Job as being equal to Daniel. So what do we learn? All right, we learned lots of things. We're going to learn more in the series. But what do we get from this? Yes, when we read the book of Job, we have to say it's all about patience, guys. It's patience. It's patience and enduring unto the end. That's what James told us straight away. So you have heard the patience of Job. Job, of all the scriptures, the main person is a patience of Job. And that's what Apostle James is telling us in the end of days that we must do. Okay, so all the things you guys go through, remember Job. Read it. Look at it. Consider it. Consider much worse things he went through than you. All right? And also consider in the book of Revelation. Here's the patience and faith of the saints. Here's the patience of the saints and they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Okay, so guys, I will provide the notes for you. The notes will give you in the link of the description field. And let's see. Well, I'll just kind of say it like this without taking the time. Go to leelandjones.com. And when you go to the main page, you'll see, you scroll down a little, it says subscribe to the school. And you subscribe to the school, you're going to see place subscribe, put in your email and your name or whatever it asks you. And click on the school. If you click on the school, you'll get notified with notes that we're meeting. And the other thing is you can click on the blog, and what that's going to do is that's going to notify you, and we'll send a notice when we publish videos. So we publish this video, then we send an email out. Now if you say, oh, I didn't get the email, the other thing you have to do is check your spam folder and make sure the email didn't go there, or block it somewhere. So you're going to have to check your email to see if your service is filtering that email, because we're sending it, okay? If you subscribe to the blog, we're sending it. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. And the voice came from the throne and from the temple saying, it is done.